Hi everyone, welcome to War Thunder Bootcamp, a new series of tutorial videos which are designed to help you learn the ropes of the game. Our first lesson is all about aircraft in arcade mode. We're going to cover the game's interface, controls, and all types of weapons. We will even learn a couple of aerobatic stunts to boot. Don't worry, we won't be messing with the controls, well, not much at least. Okay, once you have logged in into the game, go to Menu, Controls, Control Setup Wizard, Air. Now from the controller layout, select Keyboard and Mouse Only, Advanced. This will switch the throttle management to Shift and Control keys, freeing your W and S keys for pitch control. Trust me, you will be grateful for that real soon. Okay, we'll assume that you have played through the tutorial mission and you are now ready for your first combat sortie. While the game is loading, we can study the map. The blue markers on it are your allies, the red markers are your foes. The plane icons represent the respawn points. The tank icons and the lines going out of them mark the position of the ground units and their general direction of attack. The battle will last until one of the teams loses all of its ground units. Here you will see the lineup of your aircraft, as well as various settings such as targeting, ammo, fuel, and etc. Let's leave all those as is for now. Loading is complete and we spawn in flight. Open the map with your M key. Here, you will see the positions of ground targets for both teams, as well as all of your allied aircraft. The minimap is available at all times in the upper right corner of the screen. What else does the interface tell us? Here, we have the target counter showing you how many targets both teams need to destroy. At the bottom right, you will see the notifications every time someone is shot down. Just a bit above that are notifications coming up every time your aircraft deals damage to an enemy. At the bottom left, you will see notifications of all the damage you received. Finally, on the upper left, we see a couple of indicators: current throttle, speed, and altitude. You can add other indicators here if you want. Just go to Game Options, Interface to set it up to your liking. From there, you can add anything from oil temperature, which is frankly not very useful in arcade, to the much more handy ammo gauges. The current balance of strength for both teams is represented by the two bars in the top center of the screen. Both of these bars will deplete as the ground targets and players get eliminated. Whichever team depletes its bar first will lose. Watch out! Here comes your first target! Select your target by pressing the scroll key or X on your keyboard. This will highlight your target with a white outline on the radar. If you should lose visual contact with the selected target, a special arrow will point you towards it. For easier aiming, use the zoom function by pressing Z on your keyboard. Be careful though, your field of view will be severely limited while zoomed in, which might help an enemy fighter get in your tail, so keep an eye out at all times. The theoretical range at which you can hit an enemy plane is about 1.5 kilometers, but in reality, such a shot is next to impossible, even while zoomed in. Firing for such long range is feasible only if you're going for ground targets. The effective range for any air duel is between 400 or less to 600 meters tops. Fire in short, controlled bursts, otherwise your weapons might jam, and you will have to wait for them to unjam. Watch the overheat meter closely. It is indicated by the red markers around your sight. The key to successful shooting is using a proper lead on your target. If you want your shots to land on the target, do not aim directly at the point where the enemy is right now. Instead, aim for the place where the enemy plane will be when it meets your salvo. When you're shooting at any kind of ground target, the lead is next to negligible, but in aerial combat the speeds are higher and the distances are longer too. In arcade mode, you have a handy lead marker, which automatically calculates the proper lead for you, but even here, you can do a little trick. Take a slightly longer lead than what the game recommends, since the lead marker is aiming at the center of the enemy aircraft, so by extending your lead a bit, you will increase your hit coverage. Now, let's talk about the targeting convergence. The weapons are often mounted on or inside the wings of your aircraft. There is a considerable space in between the weapon groups on both wings, so how do they hit the same target then? The engineers pivot the gun barrels slightly towards each other. Then, by test firing, they can figure out the horizontal convergence, a point where all the shots will meet each other. But the convergence has a flaw as well. Should you misread the range to your target, you will miss entirely, even when firing at point-blank range. We recommend setting your targeting convergence at 400 to 500 meters when playing arcade mode. The last factor influencing your targeting is the parallax effect. Without delving too deep into science, we can say that when targeting an aircraft at close range, it seems that the sight is dead on, whereas in reality, it is slightly below the target. Just aim a tad bit above the target when firing from the third-person view to compensate. This covers the basics of aircraft firearms. Now let's move on to explosives, bombs, rockets, and torpedoes. In order to figure out where the bomb will land, the aircraft uses a special bomb sight. The bomb sight can be activated with the F7 key, but only with machines that had such a device in real life. All of the other aircraft will feature a virtual bomb sight. For maximum bombing accuracy, approach your target in level flight. You can zoom in with the very same Z key or your right mouse key. Lowering your throttle will help you. The slower your aircraft is moving, the more accurate your bombing run will be. As soon as your target is in your bomb sight, press the spacebar. The pattern is the same with the virtual sight. As soon as it turns red, it's bombs away time. You can also modify the length of the bomb fuse, anywhere from half a second to whole 10 seconds. This feature is useful when you're bombing from low altitude and wish to avoid getting your plane caught in a blast of your own bombs. If the target is too fast to be hit with a bomb, you can use rockets, such as the Soviet RS-82s or the US HVARs. Let's load them into our plane and switch to third-person view. See the rocket sight? It has 4 notches on it, for 200, 400, 600, and 800 meters respectively. Nevertheless, the rockets are most effective at close range. Press the 4 key to launch one pair of rockets. Some of the rockets have a fuse which can be set to explode at ranges from 200 to 1000 meters. This option is normally used against aircraft. The final type of explosive weapon available to the aircraft in the game is torpedoes, the indispensable tool for when you have to deal with enemy ships. Let's try and sink one too, huh? Drop down as low as possible, cutting the throttle to half, and wait for a white line sight to appear. It will help you predict your torpedo's path. Green means the torpedo is ready for launch and the hit is almost guaranteed. Press the spacebar to launch your torpedo. Most ships will require just one solid hit to be destroyed, but a larger target, such as an aircraft carrier or a battleship, might absorb 2 or 3 or even more torpedoes before going to the bottom. Bear in mind that the torpedo travels slowly in the water, so engaging a ship from a mile away is a bad idea. The optimal launch distance is about 400 to 500 meters. You can go in closer, but this is dangerous due to the onboard AAA emplacements that most ships have. These become more accurate the closer you are to them. One more thing, the more explosive weaponry you take on board means the heavier your aircraft will become. If a bomber cares little for speed and handling, a fighter or a ground pounder must have enough maneuverability not to become an easy prey to fire from the ground. Oh, hey, we're being shot at! Time to have a look at defensive maneuvers. Well, to be brutally honest, proper attention and awareness is more important than even the most effective of defensive moves. An enemy fighter should not be able to surprise you to begin with. Always watch your radar, press and hold C to look around. Okay, we've got an enemy fighter on our tail. First off, bear in mind that an aircraft is most vulnerable when it is showing either of its flat sides to the enemy. Always try to avoid enemy fire without exposing the top or the bottom of your aircraft. Secondly, the enemy will use the lead marker to deadly effect, but you can fly erratically to mess with his aim. Finally, use your pitch to conduct high-speed and tough-to-do moves by using W and S keys. Now it's time for you to learn how to dodge that attack. The easiest way to do it in arcade mode is a quick 180-degree turn. In order to do it, use your rudder with Q and E keys. You will lose some altitude, but you will be able to turn without exposing too much of your aircraft to the enemy. Bear in mind that historically and physically such a trick is next to impossible, and you won't be able to use it in realistic mode either. You can do an aileron roll, a very easy move which turns your aircraft 360 degrees on its horizontal axis. Just hold down one of the roll keys, A or D, until you have made a full circle. This move alone is a poor defensive solution, but consider this to be a pure practice move. The first step to excellence. A barrel roll is a whole different story though, and is much more effective. Here's how you can do it. Drop your throttle to about 40 to 50%, hold down either of the roll keys and press and hold S on your keyboard for positive pitch. In order to accelerate this move, you can use your rudder. Just hold it down in the same direction of the roll, such as S plus D plus E keys at once. Yeah, I know, it sounds hard, but trust me, it's easier to do than it looks, and you will learn this move by heart after a few tries. A properly conducted barrel roll can confuse your enemy and make him overshoot you, just what you need to win. Got him! This concludes our first War Thunder bootcamp video. In the next episode, we're going to talk about the kings of the ground warfare, tanks. Good hunting!